I'm very upset, and I hope you are also. The way our country is going, we're going to go downhill. We'll go downhill if the Republicans win the Congress in the elections on November the 2nd, because we will be moving in the direction of their taking over everything by 2012. And that means that our country is on the way towards a fascist-like government that ignores the will of the people and depends upon the money and the direction of the country according to orders coming from the top, rather than any real democracy to take care of the people and their needs. We've killed the welfare state in this country practically, and what's left of it, they're trying to do that even worse. They're reducing all kinds of services, whether it's Medicare, Social Security, health system, and the like. And there's a lot of talk about it. Now, I hope that Mr. Obama would tell the truth, because he knows a lot more than he's telling us, because he's in the middle of it. And every once in a while, we get some inkling that he realizes what is happening. But forget Obama right now. You may have gripes against him. Okay, we all do. I've been working with him on diplomacy since he began to run for the nomination. And on his kitchen cabinet we've been exchanging. So he's been moving in a direction where the Pentagon is really dominating our foreign policy. And that is extremely dangerous. What's the last thing that the Pentagon is doing? The Pentagon has made the deal with Vietnam. They made a deal with Laos. They're trying to make a deal with Australia to draw them into an alliance. They want to get into ASEAN. That is all the Asian, East Asian countries. And the United States wants to be in there as one of the East Asian countries, and in that way dominate the situation in that part of the world. And not only that, we are arming it. Yesterday I heard that we are loaning millions of dollars to Pakistan, which is being torn in different places, at the same time that the Taliban wants to negotiate with the United States in order to diplomatically try to resolve the problems that arise. Because I've always thought that we created some questions with the Taliban in order to talk about our being attacked and all that. Now, I won't go into the details on that, but we've been using the question of the Taliban in order to get the American people to support the military side of what we are doing in the world. Now, that is the real problem. But what do we have at home? With Pakistan, we're going to give them money to buy armaments. That's another country that we're arming all around China. Things are happening around China. They had an argument with Japan about a captain. They didn't resolve the whole thing yet. Another argument comes up with Norway. They give it to somebody who's in jail. Now, I won't go into the merits of it, but I'm showing you the picture as to how all of this is happening, because it is all happening to create a situation against China. And China has never sent a soldier outside of its country in 5,000 years, except for 2 weeks in World War II. They went into South Korea and they moved out when the UN told them to move out. And that's China. They are not militaristic. The emperor never was. In fact, he withdrew from international commerce when China, some 300 years ago, was the biggest international trade ships and all. And they were bringing pestilence back into China. So he destroyed all the ships and had nothing more to do with the West. And then they got invaded by the imperialists, and they pulled all the cocaine and other kinds of wasteful and destructive things with China, and they finally got free. Okay, but China is on a different road today, and they're on a road where they are resolving some problems of the welfare state, which we have destroyed. Because what they're really doing is moving in that direction, even on top of the corruption that exists inside of China. I'm not excusing everything that happens, but the point is they're trying to build a society that has a harmonious society where the different economic levels are working together. And what are we doing in our own country? What are we doing to the middle class in our own country? Who do you think is suffering the most with all the foreclosures? And they're losing their homes. They worked all their lives to get those homes. They're now packing up and selling off all their furniture, and they don't know where they're going to go. We are destroying the middle class. We used to be so proud America developed the middle class. Now we're destroying the middle class, let alone that we're not creating jobs. And an interesting thing is also happening in our country. The industrial capitalists in our country cannot get loans from the banks because the financial capitalists told the banks not to do it. So the industrial capitalists, in conversation with an emissary from the president early this year, were told that they want to expand and create jobs, but they need capital, and they cannot get the loans from the banks. But the American industrial capitalists, and I'm all with them, they said, look at what China is doing. So, you know what China is doing? China is loaning money to any industrial organization that will create jobs and put in high tech. And that means that we will loan money to privately owned businesses as well as to the state-owned businesses. 60% of the businesses in China are privately owned. People don't know that. 20% is publicly owned, and the other 20% is part of is a mixed bag of different kinds of associations. But what are they doing? They loan money to the automobile companies. In 2 years, you already begin to see the electric-driven automobile with 2 other forms of mechanism that do not create CO2. They are working on that in China, and they'll succeed because in 2 years they'll be #1 of the world, and they're creating jobs. They're stabilizing the country. They got out of the economic crisis. Now we want them to give us a present and change the value of their money and all that, and threatening them that we will put a tax on everything that comes in from China into the United States, which is against the rules of the International Monetary Fund. We're playing games. We're ruining the middle class. What we've done to the working class, please. I'm just wondering why people don't raise hell. Now, the people who elected Obama should get together and elect Democrats. That's the important thing. Elect Democrats so that the Republican right wing does not take over the Congress. Our president got stuck in the middle of crossing the aisle. I've been telling him that. They will not come over the aisle to make any compromises. They are the right wing of our country, and that's the vodka party, not the Tea Party. I call them the vodka party because they're going to get everybody tipsy. And I tell you, it is very, very dangerous. The foreclosures, the failure to loan money to industries in our own country that want to expand. The fact that finance capital has taken industries out of the country, and they don't want to put money into high tech in our own country. I'll give you a good example. Take the example of solar glass. You look all over New York, you look all over different cities, and you see new kinds of glass being put into many buildings. That's solar glass. Now, that's the only area where finance capital is putting in money for high tech. Why? And for the following reason. The cost for changing the buildings will create a situation where the building will get electricity for nothing. That's 30% of the consumption in those buildings. 30%. The rest of it is the tenants. Now, the tenants will be billed by the buildings. As they're billed by the buildings, the building makes back the money that they put in for creating their own energy through solar glass. Now, within 3 years, they get back the money that they put into changing the buildings. What happens after 3 years? And they're still sending bills out and still getting electricity for just the cost of getting some maintenance men to take care of the condensers. It's all profit practically. That's great. So they put in money. It's all over the place now. They're putting in money. But where did they get the glass? They get the glass from China because China built that factory 3 years ago. And they've been using it. Now, they built it. Now, they're using it and they're selling it now here. Now, why don't the industrial, the finance capitalists create solar glass production in the United States. Again, they don't know if they'll make a profit on it. Why? Because they can buy the glass cheaper from China. They don't give a damn whether they make jobs for people in our own country. And that's where we're at. And if the Republicans gain the Congress, my God, at my age 94, I feel sorry for all the people who are going to be living long after I die. Because we are in a most dangerous situation, worse than the situation in the Depression and then before the Hitler business and all. Because we are not rebuilding the country. We are not creating jobs. We are not concerned with the people. We're only concerned we bailed out finance capital into our way. We get nothing back for it, except they're controlling everything we're doing. So please, November 2, vote for Democrats. I don't care who and what they are, because the Democrats have to at least be able to control the Congress, and we'll have a better chance from then on. So thank you very much for listening to me, and I hope you do what I'm asking, because I love my country. I've lived through it. We've had many, many struggles, and I hate to see that we become a rotted society. Our people don't deserve it. Thank you.